Welcome to Adoption Utah. Here we share stories and practical advice from those who understand adoption in Utah. I'm Donna Pope, your host. Welcome to Eternal Family Adoptions. We're so excited to have Richard and Elizabeth here with us today. Now, this is exciting because this is kind of a two-part series. For those of you who haven't listened to Kaylee's story, then you'll want to go back and listen to it or do it after this one, because she's the birth mom in this situation and she tells her story, and it's a powerful story. One of the things that she says in her story is how much she loves these two people. And Richard and Elizabeth, it'll be so fun to hear your side of the story. So let's start by just walking us through when you decided to adopt, why you decided to adopt, and the process that happened from there.
Okay. Well, it actually goes back 7 or 8 years ago. We had our first boy, and then I kept having problems like miscarriages and all the things. And I just felt strongly one day that we needed to adopt. Do you want me to tell that part?
You may as well.
I was like, I don't know if you want me to tell that part.
You should tell.
So I just felt strongly, Heavenly Father, prompted me that we needed to adopt. And so I went to Richard and I said, hey, I feel strongly that we need to adopt. Will you pray about it so we can kind of get on the same page? And he was like, no.
No.
He thought I meant like not try anymore for children, but he just had never considered adoption. That was never. Anyway, that was a funny story. It wasn't funny when he said it, but it's funny now.
So Richard, what were you thinking when you said that? What were you thinking?
It was never really like something that I ever considered, and so, and just like her saying that, like, hey, I need to pray about it. Like, I'm afraid if I do, I know what the answer is going to be.
Oh, you didn't want to be told go forward.
So yeah.
Anyway,
no. We gotta touch on that just a little bit more. Richard, in thinking through, I don't know if I want to adopt. There would have been several things that came in that. One might be, I want us to go ahead and have biological children. I don't want to give up on that. Was that one of the things you thought?
That was part, there was just like a myriad of things, like, that having more kids, like even the process, like, just like everything really, like financial aspects, the relationship, and how like the dynamics with like adoptive families and whether or not closed or open, like all those considerations. I was just like, no, too much.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I want to touch on that just a little bit more, because in talking with people who are hesitant to adopt, it seems like there's several reasons. One is the money. This is expensive.
That was number one for him.
Yeah, and usually is for the provider. Yeah. the money and why should I have to pay all that money? That's a big thing. Another is, say that again, Richard.
I agree. Yeah, that was a big indicator.
Another big thing is, well, they won't look like us. The genetic component or the genetic connection may make it different, that this is not my biological child and I may feel differently. Did you worry about that?
I didn't necessarily worry about my connection, although it was more or less like, I wanted them to like, basically feel comfortable wherever they are. And so however, and we didn't know what, who we would adopt or what heritage they'd come from. So, but like, yeah, I think more pressing was like, at first it was financial, and, and then as we've thought about it, that we had, how long was our conversation? For a while, this ongoing conversation?
It was a lot. I mean, it was 7,
like
8 years ago.
Yeah. So, as those kind of first knee-jerk reactions, got to mull them over, they weren't as scary after a while.
Yeah, we watched
Lion. Lion was a big.
Yeah, that was it's huge. Movie.
So what did you watch?
Lion. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes.
It's amazing. But yeah, I remember we watched that and I was like, how could you not want to adopt after that? It's I will say, like, for me, it's like if Heavenly Father prompts me to do something, there's no questions asked. I just kind of do it. But it's hard when he hasn't had that same thing, you know? So yeah, he had a lot of, I mean, there was a lot of questions. So, but and I should say, we're not super like, what's the word? Like, which now saying this, it's hilarious because it's the exact opposite how it's all worked out. But we like staying at home. We like being just ourselves and our family, you know? So that was kind of scary to invite people into our home and like invite people into our lives that wasn't our family already.
So that's another big thing. Why should I have to be judged and try to see if I'm going to be a good parent? Who out there should have the right to step in my home and do a home study and get references and see if I'm going to be a good parent? I can be a good parent. I'm a good parent. It feels like an invasion.
It was more like, no, the adoptive or the birth mom.
The relationship
with the birth, that relationship, he was like, and both of us were just kind of
like, do we really want to introduce more people into our circle?
Yeah, we're more reserved people, you know, which is funny how it's turned out. But yeah.
But that's the thing.
That was a big thing.
I mean, I think that really was kind of like the, you know, like the time as we, you know, and as honestly, we had to like study up on all this stuff too, because there's some requirements. We talk about requirements to adopt, like with the home study, like there was some courses that we took and also some like just podcasts that we listened to and had better understanding about, you know, what's best for the adoptive child. And he going from like, hey, if I go through with this, we're going to be closed adoption to, oh no, my mindset is we have to have it open as possible. So, and it's like that journey over, you know, as we kind of had this ongoing conversation, it's kind of led it to where it kind of ended up.
Yeah. And so the thought of having someone else as a part of your nuclear family, nah, it's our family. And we don't, I can see that.
Yeah.
So you started talking about it, and over time you watched the movie Lion, and other things started sort of hitting on your heart to move forward with the adoption.
Yeah, so we actually went with an agency.
No, not.
What was that agency?
Well, it was like the first.
It
step.
Was yes.
It was It was
we started with an international adoption. We just had a friend that had done it through them, so we were like, well, let's just. And that's how this journey has been. It's like, take a step forward and Heavenly Father will let us know if that's the right step or not. So we started with this agency and then they got sued. It was like through Japan. Anyway, this whole thing happened where they got shut down. No, they didn't get sued. They got shut down. See, this is what I'm talking about. We're not eloquent.
I think you're perfect.
Really what happened was that international adoptions, they kind of put like a stop to it because in Japan they had some laws about.
No, it was here.
No, and
some lady in Congress or something didn't want people adopting internationally. She wanted them adopting domestically.
Well, part of that too was because Japan, at least the people that we were going through, they were giving away these babies without with the father's consent, and so there was an issue there that I think, from a diplomatic standpoint, they had to put a pause.
Either way, I remember feeling really like I received this prompting and now it's stopped. And I remember going to the temple and just feeling like, and I should say, I'm very strong-willed and I like things my way. So, like I said, like I was like, okay, we're going to adopt, you know, But I remember going to the temple and feeling like, listen to your husband and what he, and I think Heavenly Father needed me to hear that. And Richard, and I didn't tell him that at first, but he just said, I think we need to pause and just see how things go. And so I was like, okay. And that was my answer. Like, I need to follow my husband. So that was 8 years ago. So then we had 2 more boys in that time. Both of them are miracles. It took a lot for them to get here. And so after our 3rd boy was born, I had a prompting that we needed to start trying again. Or no, it was my friend called me and she's like, I had a dream that you had a baby. And I was like, oh, funny. And then I felt strongly like, okay, it's that time. So we started trying again, and 2 years went by, 18 months went by, and I couldn't get pregnant. And I have a lot of health issues. So after that, I felt strongly, okay, this is the time. You need to start the adoption process. So we started that conversation again, and let's see, was that 2023? So I said, okay, we made a plan. We're going to start with adoption.com and Pear Tree for a year. We're going to do that for a year.
Just to see.
Yeah. We put it up on Instagram, this video of us, and it got a ton of views. And we were like, we're just going to try and do it ourselves. And right off the bat, we got a message on adoption.com. No, I got a text from this girl. And I don't want to go a ton into this just because it was horrible, but she scammed us. We didn't give her any money, luckily, but she would call me all day, every day. And what she had done is she had taken someone's Facebook pictures and made her own Instagram saying that she was pregnant. And I remember asking her right off, like, do you want any money? You know, because I feel like that was like to get rid of people who just wanted money. She's like, no, I don't want money. But she would call me all day, every day. And I would talk to her all the time. And she wanted me to have her baby. Anyway. And then I found out that she was not, well, she was real, but it wasn't this girl that had all these pictures. So
yeah, just catfished, basically.
Yeah, we were catfished, yeah.
And it's like the idea, and what threw us off was because, like, yeah, like usually you'd think you're a scam would want money. And
yeah.
It's really just, they call it emotional bonding, I guess.
Yeah. I think I found it on your website, or on what website? Anyway, explained emotional bonding. Like, I should have done this research before. And that's the problem with not going with an agency is
you got to run into those risks.
And that happened several times after that, getting scammed. But I knew right off, you know, like, this isn't real. So, okay, so we went a year on adoption.com and nothing but heartache happened. But this is so interesting. I feel like I have to say this. So we deleted our account March of 2024. And May of 2024, I got a text from Kaylee. And of course, I thought it was a scam because all the texts and calls I had gotten were all scams. So I texted my friend Bonnie and with a screenshot, and I said, do you think this is real? And she was like, I actually think it's real. And so we texted back and forth, and I instantly said, can we FaceTime? Just so I could see her right off and know that she was, because that's another thing.
Kaylee, you wanted to FaceTime Kaylee?
Yes. She's like, hey, I'm considering just deciding if adoption's right for me. I would love to talk with you. And so I said, I would love to do a FaceTime because I wanted to know as soon as possible. She was like, great. And so, but I have to say, the interesting thing is we had deleted our page 2 months prior, and she had found us and couldn't message us because we had deleted it. But luckily my number was on there. So he found my number. So that was a miracle within itself. And maybe it's not like, I don't know websites and how long it takes to take things down, but it was really cool to see, like,
just like by a thread almost.
And I should say, when we deleted it, we started with an agency. Started with heart to heart. So she started heart to heart. Okay. And so we were like, okay, Heavenly Father, we're going to take this next step. We're going to stop this and start this. So it's interesting to see how he, like I said, we would take a step and he would lead us from there. And that was really cool to see how he led us all the way.
And so you did a FaceTime with Kaylee.
So we FaceTime. She was at work and she was just explaining all the things. And I was definitely super nervous, had my guard up. And it was a good conversation. But I didn't put too much into it because I was still really nervous. And I told Richard about it, but it wasn't like, I just was very nervous and worried. So it wasn't like a huge deal. Anyway, and it went really well. It was great. And then she texted me and said, hey, I'm starting to meet families now. Would you like to meet up? I was like, sure. And I was like, I wanted to bring Richard because everyone loves Richard. So I was like, hey, he's my secret weapon, Yeah. And oh my goodness, was I nervous, like, how are you feeling?
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
He's fine. Whatever. He's like, everyone loves me.
Yeah, right.
So we met at Neaters and she came with her mom, which was really good. Her mom is very eloquent, very good at questions, very kind. So that was really good. But yeah, I remember we were sitting there just waiting and we saw them walking in and I was like, I think that's her. And I just ran to the door and I was like, I'm so excited to meet you. I'm normally not that way. I was just so nervous, so excited.
It's like we were on the date.
Yeah. Yeah. That first meeting, I was like, I said to her, I feel like I'm on The Bachelor. Like, I'm trying to prove to you how cool we are. We're really, really cool. And so that was like an ongoing joke. Like,
here's the people that we know that think we're cool.
Yeah, like, I promise we're gonna do way good. Like, we're gonna do a great job. So, and of course they loved Richard right off. He's very good at like making people laugh and making the conversation a lot easier. So the first conversation went really well, and
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was.
No, I honestly like meeting her and Brittany, like Kaylee and her mom. It was just as natural as it could have been. So there's no, like, I was excited just to get to know him, and that was kind of like part of it too. Like we, it turns out that we were actually really good friends with him. So
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that first meeting went really well. But I have to say, every time we got together with them on the drive home, Richard was always super upbeat. Like, that went so well. That was so exciting. And I was always like deep dive down into like a sad.
You were scared.
Because I was like, I'm putting so much emotion into these people and I love them so much already. And they could just not pick us, So every single time we met with them, the drive home was just really, really hard. But Richard was always like, that was great. Why are you sad? Just very emotional for me. So.
But there's also, I think they were all like, we were able to chat and obviously have those everything light, but there was never like when it needed to get serious and have like real conversations about, the adoption and what her feelings, what our expectations might have been. And that's kind of like how our conversations went. And it was almost like a pattern for all of our conversations with her leading up to, birth and after. It just, we can, and I also want to credit Kaylee for that, because even though she was only 19 or whatever, she wasn't afraid to get into those hard conversations. And so that was really, really cool to see as we got to know her.
Yeah, that was what was. I mean, we said from the beginning, please, please, just be completely honest with us. Like, it's the only thing that can hurt is like not, being honest, and tell us the second that we're not it. And that, yeah. So every time we would get together, she would have like these questions prepared for us, the really hard questions. Mm-hmm. So, and
her mom was helpful.
Her mom was so, like, I keep telling her, you guys need to write a book on what to do if your child gets pregnant, because your daughter, because
both her parents.
Yeah. The best parents she could possibly have in this situation.
Mm-hmm. It would be interesting to hear things from their point of view, wouldn't it?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that would, maybe I'll ask them if they'll interview and hear that side of it, because there's a lot of people out there that go through that and they don't want to get mad at their kid, and they don't want to, they want to help them. They don't want to push. It's a tough situation to be in.
For sure.
It's really,
and they just handled it so well. I mean, the first thing her dad said was, just know we still love you. We love you so much. And they were the perfect examples of.
So when did she finally tell you that you were the ones?
Okay, so we met. So our first call was in end of May. And then we would keep meeting. Was it like every 2 weeks?
Something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah. But it just went well. And then she wanted to meet our kids. So they just came over and to our house and met our kids. And then July 17th. Yeah, July 17th, we met at a park. And my sister doesn't live here. She lives in Texas. So I wanted her to meet her before she left. And I didn't know they were going to tell us. So she came and met them and then left. And then right after that, Kaylee brought over. Oh, no, she said, okay, I had to ask her again because I was like, so she starts crying. And I'm like, oh, no.
What's going on?
I was like, she's going to drop us. We're not getting the rose tonight, And she said, you guys are my family. I just want to let you know that you're my family. And I just instantly covered my face and just started crying. I mean, like, I couldn't believe it. I thought she was dropping us for sure. And then we hugged each other for a very long time. Just me and Kaylee.
Yeah. And what was cool about it is like me kind of like spectating that whole event, like that moment. It was really kind of cool because here we were we had started our journey like 7 or 8 years ago, and to kind of have it all kind of orchestrate. It was really cool to see like these two women, their paths kind of come across at this point. And that was kind of a cool spiritual experience for me to see that when they were like, hey, we found each other.
That's really neat. And then how long was it before she actually had the baby? It was still some time.
Yeah, so end of July
to October 31st.
To October 31st, she was born. And that's the thing. Like we said at the beginning, we're more reserved. But with Kaylee, it was never a question of if we wanted her in our lives. Like from the first time we met her, it was like, yeah, we want it. I don't know what it was, but she just had this spirit and love about her that we were like, yes, you can be a part of our family. Like you can. And I remember saying, I hope one day you can just come over and walk in, and just hang out with us. And obviously she does that now. And that's like the biggest compliment to us, that she feels comfortable to do that. Yeah.
So tell us about what it was like when she went into labor.
Yeah, so we were at our son's Halloween parade
at the elementary
school. And she had texted us saying she was cramping all morning. Anyway, and she either I called her or she called me, I don't remember. And she's like, I'm going to go in. Because she had a doctor's appointment at 11. But she's like, I'm in too much pain. I'm going to go in right now. And I was like, and I just remember asking her, like, how are you feeling? And she just started crying. And she's like, I'm in so much pain, And I was like, watch, you're going to be in a 9, And she's like, or I'll be at a 1 and they'll send me home, Anyway, so then we went home after the parade and we were just like, keep us updated. And Richard went on a run, and Brittany texted us, Kaylee's mom, and was like, she's at a 10. Or what?
Oh, 9.
She was at a 9. And I was like, no. It's like, call Richard. I'm like, come home now. Like, stop exercising, shower. And we got in the car and just rushed. And there was all this traffic on the way there. And I thought, we missed it. Anyway, but we got there. Because she had her epidural, it slowed things down, luckily. So that was such a blessing. And from the start, Kaylee said to us, like, she wanted us in there when she was laboring. So we knocked on the door and it was just like, good to go. Like, we were family, we were already that close that it was like, come on in, so, and we hung out there. But that was one of the most spiritual experiences for us, is watching Kaylee's parents take care of her while she was laboring. Like, she made this choice that probably wasn't what they were planning on, but the love they had for her did not change in any way. And they just hugged her and loved her, and her dad gave her a blessing. And that was the most beautiful thing, like showing a parent's love I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like, in fact, there was a moment where we felt like we had to step out because we were like, this is their moment.
Yeah.
And that while we were there, just be like Elizabeth said, like, seeing her look up to her parents, looking at them, feeling like this is going to be an insurmountable thing, kind of, and feeling the weight of it all. But seeing her parents love her through that was definitely like a very strong spiritual experience that I'll never forget.
Yeah. I mean, it was the greatest show of parental love we've ever seen. So
interesting. You noticed the relationship with her and her parents as much as you were noticing that she was having a baby.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. We cared. I mean, we had grown to love Kaylee so much that, like, yes, there was a baby coming, but the main focus was her in that room. And just like, like all we cared about was her, like that she was going to be okay. And this was so hard for her. And we all just were on her. And I remember they said, we have a baby, parents, come over and see the baby. And we were all just huddled around Kaylee. Like,
I can wait.
We just love her so much. And that was all we could focus on, was her and making sure she was okay. So.
But then you went and saw the baby.
Yes, that's it.
We didn't hold her for a long time. We just wanted Kaylee to be in charge of that. Like, just the fact that we were able to be there in the room was beautiful.
Yeah, more
so
than
we
we
were
could
like,
have imagined.
yeah. So we were like, you tell, it was just kind of this unspoken thing. We will just
take your lead.
Richard did cut her umbilical cord, and I just thought she was the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, I don't do well with, like, even I warned him, like, I'm kind of queasy when it comes to stuff like that. But I got the gumption to do it, so we're good. Yeah, it worked out.
Anyway,
I did pass out.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's my question to you. You've had other children, and you, Richard, have been there when your wife has given birth to these other children. And it was just you. And now here you're in a circumstance where another woman's giving birth to a child that will become yours. Compare those two.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's any difference. I mean, I don't know. I think it's really cool to see that, the baby's coming to the world, and, like, I'm more or less like an observer through it all, like, because it's very much like Elizabeth's C-sections have been very procedural. Like, it's a very matter of fact, like, it's very much like a medical thing. But like when they do finally get into your arms, it's always a special thing to see them. And so, yeah, like, I think there's just, however it, whether it was Kaylee or Elizabeth. I think, I don't know. It's a special moment either way. Like I don't see that there's like much of a difference as far as, that makes sense. I don't know.
For sure. Now, Elizabeth, how was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, oh, it was the most, and I should say we didn't hold her right away. Like I said, the focus was on Kaylee, but when we came back and I was able to hold her, it was just amazing. Like, yeah. I will say though, it was the most special, beautiful day ever. But I still had that wall up because I was like, she can still change her mind. So it wasn't until we left the hospital that I was able to like let that wall come down and completely let everything go and really say like she's mine. So the day of the birth was beautiful, but it was more for Kaylee. And it wasn't until I was able to take her home that it was beautiful.
Yeah. So here's one question, and this we may or may not include this in the thing. That they're considering changing the law so that even after she signs, she'll have 72 hours to revoke it. How do you feel about that?
I don't love that. Bonnie would always say to us, every day that she doesn't sign those papers, she has to choose again to place this baby. And she's like, can you imagine having to make that decision over and over and over again? And so I could not, like, I remember that night she was born, I couldn't sleep all night. I couldn't function. Like, I just was like, she could, she's sitting here with this beautiful baby. She's going to change her mind. So to take her home and then to wait another 2 days, or is that 3 days? 3 days would just, and I feel like it would be just as hard on the birth mom, because then you have to decide again and again and again.
And the other thing that's hard is the relationship you have with her. We see it all the time. Once the papers are signed and the decision's been made and everything's completed, it gives a chance for you guys to unite in such a sweet way because it's done and it's really nice. And we would lose that. We would lose that option for them. So anyway, we may or may not include that in this, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
I think we're also fortunate that Kaylee was so sure about her decision, and that she kept on reminding us she knew that it was the right thing to do, even no matter how hard it was. She made that decision and stuck to it. So it may not have changed for our situation, but like you said, like having a date, having a day, that is the day, then that's kind of probably a better situation.
Yeah. So once you guys hung out at the hospital, she says that she kept the baby as long and as much as she wanted, and you, of course, supported that. And then she was ready to be released and she was ready to sign. She did say that was the hardest day she's ever had.
Yeah, and she wanted us in there, which I said, are you sure you want us in there? That was the hardest thing I've ever had to watch, and we're just standing there, and here's the lawyer and the notary, and I couldn't stop crying, and he's comforting me, but it's like I'm trying to stay strong for her. But I was so grateful that she wanted us in there so that we could see like how hard it was on her, just to even love her even more and appreciate her even more for the sacrifices she was willing to give. And I remember she looked down at her, because you have to initial like so many things. And she looked down at her and said, I'm doing this for you. And the lawyer said, he was the best. He said, let's see, how do you phrase it? There's no one that loves showing more love to their child than Kaylee is right now to this baby. And I loved that. She was like, she loves her so much that she was willing to give her a life that she couldn't give her. And that was a really beautiful thing when the lawyer said that. But then, yeah, she signed the papers and she asked if she could hold her. So she checked out at the same time. So she asked if she could carry her down to the lobby. And so her mom wheeled her down to the lobby. And
yeah, there was like a special moment where she was getting up and it was just us, us three.
So she gave us the baby.
And we just kind of like all hugged
and we
each other.
all three of us with Posey in the middle of this circle, we all just hugged. And it was the most beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Just to hug, like, just so she, like, we love her so much and we're going to love this baby so much. Like, we have so much love for Kaylee, so much love for this sweet new baby. Yeah, that hug was amazing. Yeah, and then we walked out. And Richard pulled up the car and we walked out to the car and put her in
and cried her eyes out.
Yeah.
So that crying your eyes out, why were you crying?
I mean,
it could have been a joyous moment. Why were you crying?
Well, and it was, I mean, I like to see the pain that Kaylee just went through, but also to like that wall that I had up for so long. And like I tried to keep myself open for Kaylee because I loved her so much, but I just had this wall and it just all came down. And it was like, finally, I can breathe. And finally, this is going to be okay. And we just cried the whole way home. Yeah. And we sent a picture to Kaylee of Posey in the car and, she's okay. Look how cute she is.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like even with all these big events, these really, big events like the signing and the birth and all that stuff. Like we were, just trying to try to reinforce hey, we still are going. We're still up for watching Survivor on Wednesday, right? Or The Bachelorette. So
and so she came over for The Bachelorette.
Yeah, so it's like we still had these. And I don't want to diminish those things, those big key events that are big milestones. I mean, that are forever etched in our minds. But and also, a reminder, hey, this isn't going to be the situation where, you're never going to see her again, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I should say
that might have feelings associated with that signing or something,
Right, and the night before she signed the papers, she asked us to come up. And just the two of us. And she expressed some worries that she had. And we talked about the name. And I just remember telling her, nothing's going to change. You can come over whenever. The only thing that's going to change is you, moving on and going to school and going out with friends. That's going to change for you, but we're always going to be here. So yeah, these big events, but it was okay, well, back to texting, back to hanging out. She came over for the Utah BYU game 4 days later. So yeah, it was really hard driving home. But it was good.
What an interesting thing, again, comparing this to having your children biologically.
Oh yeah. Very different.
Very different.
Very, very different. So much more complicated, much more emotional in some ways. Do you recommend it?
I think, honestly, and maybe I'm fast forwarding a little bit, to the temple or whatever, but when you think about life's opportunities of experiences that you can have in one lifetime, and just, I don't know. For me, I feel everybody should have an experience like it, like an adoption, because it's, I mean, with I don't know, it just feels I wouldn't have experienced all those like we wouldn't have had those talks or that grow that love for this person, or all these are just opportunities to kind of share life with someone. And obviously we have added Posey to our family, but like, yeah, like I mean, it's just interesting. Like, it opens up a lot of experience just for experience's sake. Like I feel like I'm a better person because of going through that. So that's
It totally makes sense. It has enlarged your heart.
I was going to say, we opened our lives. We're very reserved, but they're a part of our family now. Yeah, and like these experiences brought us so much closer to our Heavenly Father too. That was
So let's go now to the temple.
I was going to say, we got to talk about the temple, right?
Talk about the temple.
That was, and she was, so okay, backtrack. She came to the court date. She came to court too.
Yeah. Your finalization was 3 months later or 6 months later?
Which was 3 months, because they changed it in March, right?
Okay.
So she came to the blessing. She's come to all the things. But the coolest thing was that, and this is backtracking again, she got her temple recommend back while she was still pregnant. She waited like 6 months, right?
I can't remember. But yeah,
anyway, her bishop was like, it's time, you can go back. So all three of us were able to go to the temple multiple times during her pregnancy.
That's really amazing.
I know. And it's like, and I remember one time we were on a session and we came out and we saw his sister. She was on a different session and she just started crying. And it's like, how better to prepare to, for this situation than to go to the temple together. It was
okay. So let me picture this.
Yeah,
she's pregnant with a baby she's going to place for adoption with you, and you guys are together in a session in the temple.
And we did it. We did
with her parents.
Yeah,
too.
we went with her her parents and her. Did we do sealing? We just went to all sorts of different temples, and she used to go every Tuesday. Like, it was Temple Tuesday. She's amazing. Anyway, so back to the temple. So since she was able to have her temple recommend back, we didn't know, we had never done sealings, like, what's it called?
Like a
live sealing. Yes. We had never seen a live sealing before. So my mom was saying to us, my mom said, hey, someone needs to hold the baby at the altar. I was like, oh, okay, we need, and we were like,
we should probably take it.
We would probably ask, and we were like, well, obviously it should be Kaylee, right? So, but like, we didn't think
much of it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, yeah, we got to get that done.
We'll just ask Kaylee if she'll do that.
So we're like,
we went to dinner at JCW's, and we're sitting there with Kaylee, and we're like, hey,
chomping on a burger, like, oh, by the way, can you do this?
Yeah, by the way, do you want to be the one to hold her? And she just starts bawling.
I'll bet she did. And
me and Richard were like,
"No,
sorry, we didn't think it was that. We didn't know. We had no idea how big of a deal it was."
And she was like, she let us know. We're like, "Oh, that does make sense."
And she knew that was a thing, and she was like, "Oh, I hope they ask me," And we were like, "Well, obviously it's you,
Who else would it be?"
But yeah, and so she cried and she's like, I'm so grateful. And we were like, sorry, we should have asked you to more like formal setting,
with a rose.
Yes. It was just so funny. And like all of our kids are eating their cheeseburgers and screaming. And anyway, that was funny. Anyway, so yeah, she got there. We got to the temple a little bit early with our kids because we wanted a picture of all of us. And she got there at the same time, and she walked in with us, and it was, oh my goodness. Yeah, just the fact that she was able to hold her for us at the altar was like it was so right. Like it would
It's like the
seem,
circle was completed
yeah,
somehow.
like it, no, like it was perfect that she was able to do that. And, seeing our boys there watching that, and it was just the most beautiful experience we'll ever have, And it's like you to see your kids in the temple one day, but the fact that we got to see them little young being in the temple was so beautiful and so amazing. And just having her there with us. I mean, and my neighbor said this, every mom in the room was just crying because it's like, it really, just like you said, it's like this complete circle that she was able to be there with us. It was just amazing.
So I'll go back to the question. It was different than having your own biological children.
Yes.
It changed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought yeah. Sorry. I thought when the original question, I thought you were talking about just holding the baby. Yeah. So yes, it did.
But the whole experience, you've had both. You've had biological children, then you've had adoption. And now I'm remembering back, Richard, 7 years ago when you were thinking, I want to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing, like him and Kaylee have such a fun relationship, like they're so close. And to look back on that, we just weren't those people, but because it's Kaylee, she just changed our lives, and Richard also has this special bond with Posey. It's just so fun to see how Richard was so hesitant, yet he's like the closest, he's so warm and kind to them, and it's just fun to see. So
okay, so we're going to conclude, but we're going to conclude with this.
Okay.
You're looking now at potential families who are where you were at 7 years ago, Richard, going, I'm not sure. And maybe they have a wife like Elizabeth who's getting these promptings and these feelings of, we should adopt. Give them some advice. Richard, let's start with you.
I think it's okay to feel the apprehension, but not let it completely override the overall goal. I mean, what ultimately is that Elizabeth had a prompting, and she was so sure about it, and that was really just necessarily like, hey, I know that Heavenly Father is communicating that to her, help me understand how I need to change, or like, even then he was very patient with me too, because it was how long it took years. And so ultimately I think just making sure, I mean, what was most important was just being a supportive spouse and through it all, and making those baby steps allowed me to completely change. It's almost like that, the forest, being in the forest versus what is it? The quote where you're seeing the forest in the trees.
The trees.
Yeah,
You can't see the forest for the trees.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think, just having the ongoing, having a, conversation, keep the conversation going. Eventually you'll come around, and obviously I've been blessed for it. So.
Elizabeth, imagine that you're talking right now to other families who are going through the same feelings that you did. Should we do this? What advice would you give them?
I mean, this has definitely been the hardest thing I've ever done, just because I have a lot of feelings, but I just it was hard to do at the time, but like trusting in Heavenly Father, because we had a lot of upsets throughout the whole experience, and I just kept thinking, like, what was this prompting, And it was hard to do at the time, but now I look back and it's like Heavenly Father led us every single step of the way. And so trusting in Heavenly Father was like the most important thing I could have done, you know, because, and I remember at one point, we had like someone had picked us and it didn't work out. And I just was like, Heavenly Father, where are you? You know? And I remember walking home from church and I just felt this strong prompting, just stick with Kaylee. And it was like, just having the faith that everything was going to be okay, and that he knew what he was doing. It's easy to look back now and say like, yeah, I had faith. But I like staying close to my Heavenly Father was the most important thing I did. And it saved me because it was so hard. But he was there for me every step of the way.
I often think of Joseph Smith in Liberty Jail. And sometimes I think, we're not sitting on yucky straw and trapped, but sometimes we go through these emotions, and they're real emotions of how long am I going to have to endure this emotion? And that thought of, this is just a small moment and it will be for your good. And we go, I don't want my good. I don't want to grow anymore. I want to stay small.
Yeah.
But there is nothing about adoption that doesn't enlarge your heart. Everything about adoption enlarges your heart and makes you have to think outside of yourself. Think about the other people. Think about the child. Think about someone but yourself. And it's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
And now you're at the end of it. Well, you're not at the end because now you've got to raise this little girl. You've got, and more challenges will come with that. And now you've got to maintain this relationship with Kaylee, and challenges will come with that. But amidst it is all that joy that comes with it. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I need to say like how grateful I am for Kaylee, I said how grateful I was to Heavenly Father, and Richard and I got so much closer. But it's like Kaylee has been our angel throughout this whole thing, So I can't just, and like when you said there will be trials going on with Kaylee, but it's like that's been the easiest relationship we've ever had, with Kaylee. Is just I should say the most rewarding, because obviously it was hard, like having faith in her, like because she could change her mind, but she has been the biggest blessing, she's just a joy in our lives and we love her so much. And like to give us Posey is a joy such a joy, and our boys are obsessed with her. They just love her so much. And yeah, it was really hard to go through, but yeah, it was worth it getting Posey, and having Kaylee in her lives.
Any final thoughts, Richard?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I said it good.
Yeah, just trail off. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just, really appreciate Kaylee, her family, for opening up.
Yes.
Also, like, the support systems that we've had, like, through those, it's important to have people that you can lean on, and especially when you're having big decisions like this, on both sides of the adoption. Obviously, our Heavenly Father has a plan, but it requires us to kind of be open to each other, and obviously for the benefit of his kids. So
he does. Thank you both very much for having this conversation. Someday we may try to have another one with all of you together. Let's give it some time. So thanks all for being on this, and we will talk with you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank
you for joining us for this episode of Adoption Utah. I'm Donna Pope. Please visit adoptionutah.org to sign up for our newsletter and find caring experts who can help you with your adoption journey.